Thanks for staying with us, and a special welcome to you on Hot 102 and on the internet at CVMTV.com. The police military operation in the West Kingston community of Tivoli Gardens was illegal. That's the view of the attorney who is representing Tivoli Gardens strongman Christopher Dudus Coke, Don Foote. Mr. Foote spoke with CVM after the official funeral of Dr. Herbert Eldemeyer in St. James today. More from Damien Phillips.
As the police released what they say is the latest photograph of Christopher Coke, there are more reports that Mr. Coke is to hand himself in to officials in New York by this weekend. If those reports are true, then it would significantly scale down or nullify what has now become a wide-scale search for him. The body count is mounting each passing day, and the Jamaicans are eager for a resolution whether in the courts or otherwise. Mr. Foote is now lashing out, contending the operation should not have taken place, while his challenge of the extradition order is still before the courts.
The Chief Justice, when the matter was adjourned until the 31st, distinctively said that the status quo should remain. So all that activity, in my opinion, that took place in Tivoli was illegal.
The Prime Minister has yet to say what exactly might have changed, leading to the government's decision to sign the warrant to proceed with Coke's extradition, when days before it remained adamant the evidence against him was illegally obtained. Mr. Foote is insisting that the Prime Minister interfered in a matter he ought not to, and acted on influence more than anything else, approving the signing of the warrant when it was not his prerogative.
She could not initiate the proceedings based upon what she had before her. Nothing has changed except public opinion. And subsequent to that, public opinion, in my view, well, caused the Prime Minister to give directive to the Minister to initiate these proceedings. But insofar as we are concerned, and that is what is before the court, it is not the Prime Minister's decision. It is really the Minister's decision.
On Thursday, former Prime Minister and Member of Parliament for West Kingston Edward Siaga chastised Mr. Golding for his poor handling of the extradition matter, which many say led to what is now being described in some quarters as a massacre in Tivoli Gardens. Damien Phillips, CVM News.
Police Commissioner Owen Ellington is seeking to assure the nation that Jamaica's most infamous fugitive in recent memory, Christopher Coke, will be caught. The view was expressed at a press conference at Up Park Camp today. However, even as that declaration was made, a Jamaica Defense Force official conceded that a potential escape route was not secured. As Andrew Cannon reports, the commissioner also addressed the issues of mass burials of bodies.
Tivoli Gardens pummeled by heavy artillery, several residents shell-shocked, but to what end? Today is the 5th straight day of the operation, and there is no revelation about the whereabouts of the man who had been the genesis behind it all. So still no Dudus after the discovery of 7 assault rifles, 6 handguns, and over 7,000 assorted rounds. Nevertheless, the police commissioner does not want the operation to be viewed as a failure, although the primary target remains elusive.
5 days ago, there were concerns in this country as to whether the security forces had the capacity and the will to go inside of Tivoli Gardens, disrupt Christopher Coke in his stronghold, and arrest him. Today, he's on the run. We will catch him. We will execute that warrant, and he'll face justice.
But how could the man dubbed as a narcotics kingpin could have escaped? Several tales are being spun. Some have not ruled out an escape through the underground. The commissioner is resolute that there was proper due diligence, but yet there was a concession that several underground pathways were not secured.
Once we got into the community and we had control of the community, we discovered points that exit the community. We have not yet researched them sufficiently to see exactly where they lead. They point in a direction, and that is why you were told, for example, they point in the direction of the coast, of the harbor.
One factor, however, that they were aware of was the orchestrated and sophisticated offensive. Surveillance pictures were shown revealing what they said is a high-caliber operation of booby traps, improvised explosive devices, and snipers on roofs. These claims are met with counterclaims that bodies were stated to be buried in the Maypen Cemetery to disguise the truth. According to the commissioner, because the bodies were in an advanced state of decomposition, undertakers told the police to bury them, and this was normal procedure.
On reflection I believe that given the sensitivity of this matter, we should have allowed them to remain in the cemetery without moving towards taking that decision. The truth is that none was buried. I hope that the arrangements that have been put in place to preserve those bodies, I hope it works, because I would hate to know that we are retaining bodies in such a state of decomposition that they can pose a threat to public health.
The body count is one thing, the guns are quite another. Even as the briefing was in progress, Colonel Meade said 9 more guns were found in Tivoli. That would make it, at the time of the briefing, 22, but officially 73 civilians are dead. So why aren't there more guns? Colonel Meade gave me a possible explanation. Men firing at the cops were shooting from a distance using long-range guns. The police returned deadly far, but those guns cannot be retrieved immediately given distant locations. It was highlighted that there is a lapse in time between the shooting of the men and the recovery of the guns, and during the interval, weapons may have been picked up. Meanwhile, what of an assertion by Edward Siaga that the army was disobeying a directive from Bruce Colin to get out of Tivoli?
There's no instruction passed on to the JDF by the chairman of the Defense Force and Prime Minister that's not executed. I'm quite confident of that.
All speculate how Tivoli will now pick up the pieces. Andrew Cannon, CVM News.
Meanwhile, the police high command also released pictures of what they say were the perils faced when they mounted their offensive in West Kingston. They showed the media improvised explosive devices and blockades, which they said were set up in sections of the area. With that report, here's Delona Fleming.
The security forces say 2 of the photographs show packages filled with pieces of steel 3 to 4 inches in length and packed with explosives. They explain that when triggered, these devices would send the pieces flying in the air, causing injury or death to members of the security forces. Another photograph shows a cylinder with explosives affixed and concealed behind a barricade. There is also a photograph showing a container with explosives which has a detonating cord placed in a bag for concealment. A 5th photograph shows a simpler trap believed to have been set for the lawmen, an uncovered manhole. This photograph showed how inventive the gunmen got by using a cardboard box packed with explosive materials with a detonating cord affixed and placed in a car tire. Yet another photograph showed Molotov cocktails. Lawmen say bottles are filled with petrol, sand or any other similar materials and wicks made from paper or cloth. The last photograph shows a package of explosive combined with pieces of steel placed in a bag for concealment.
Other forms of plastic explosives, which were used with electronic trigger mechanisms and booby traps, were strategically placed all around the community. This further reinforced the point that the gunmen were highly trained and were well organized and may have received help from foreign sources.
Major Blackwood added that other trigger mechanisms were also used by gunmen.
In some cases, up to 50 meters away from the actual location in a house, designed so that they could move away and then trigger the mechanism. So we're following most, it goes over to a wall.
Delona Fleming, CVM News.
If the speculation of one political commentator is correct, Bruce Golding will not be the Jamaica Labour Party candidate for West Kingston when next the country goes to the polls. That comment comes even as residents call for attention from the embattled representative, whom many say has been dogged by a litany of woes. More from